I know we were chatting and shooting this shit and talking about like the old school 2000s times, and like I did that video talking about like one of the classics, obviously, off Wake in the Fall and Unholy Confessions, which it was so fun to go back and revisit not just that song but also that album in a perspective of a fan, a person that really loved that era of music, and to see how, dude, even nowadays I'll still go to like a Guitar Center or I'll go outside. And that riff, particularly off of Unholy Confessions, dude, kids are like, that's their new Guitar Center riff. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, it was always like Stairway to Heaven and like Sweet Child of Mine and shit like that. Now I see kids playing fucking Unholy Confessions and or like Parkway Drive and stuff like that. Like, do you notice that? Like, isn't that, it's kind of fucking crazy to think about nowadays.
It kind of blows my mind because having written that riff, man, I was like a kid, I
Right.
was like 20 years old or whatever. And you have no idea that it's going to have an impact when
Mm-hmm.
you're writing it. It was a riff that I was playing at when I lived at my parents' house, when we were touring in a van, running through it at sound check.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it was honestly kind of me fucking learning how to play guitar.
Right.
Like, I was a punk rock guitarist, like in high school, like I grew up learning punk songs and like Bad Religion songs and
Dude,
Pennywise songs
yes.
and stuff like that. And then when me and Matt started Avenged, he started showing me stuff like At the Gates
Yeah.
and Children of Bodom and In Flames.
Mm-hmm.
And I was Pantera and shit that, I wasn't fully used to.
Right.
And I was like, this shit's fucking awesome.
Yes.
I don't know how to play it though. I can't play this shit.
Right.
So I was practicing and practicing. I've never taken any lessons, but I was just trying to play what I heard and
Mm.
come up with riffs. And it was still like a full learning phase, which honestly, with guitar, I don't think there ever is not a learning phase. I'm still learning
Yeah.
and learning. And
Dude, guitar is
um,
hell. It's probably out of all the instruments to learn to one of the most annoying ones to start because you just have the instant barrier of your fingers are basically bleeding and bruising before you can even play it, which sucks so much.
dude, I gotta be in a band with fucking Sinister Gates. Literally is fuck that dude. He comes up with the craziest, crazy jazz chords and shit.
Right.
And he's got long ass fucking fingers. I'm talking, he
Yeah.
can span like seven, fucking eight frets,
Right.
and and he can just play faster than almost anyone. Like
Mm.
he just can. Like, and I always say, like, hey, there's certain shit I cannot do. Just the same as you can't fucking run faster than
Yeah, yeah.
Usain Bolt in the Olympics. Like I can't play shit as fast as he can play it, no matter how hard I try. I can set the metronome and fucking try. But he's just extremely fast and crazy chords. So like, even with Life Is But a Dream, I had to learn stuff that I've never even fathomed and chords I can't even. But it's fun.
Right.
But at first, I mean, honestly, I want to grab my guitar and smash it through the wall. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But once you got it, dude, it's you're happy you did it.
Dude, 100%. I mean, and Life and Blood, that dude, that was a very progressive album, which is really cool. And kudos to you guys because I've heard stuff on there where I was like, what? There was many moments where I was like, what the fuck is happening? This is so out there and cool, and like you guys really expanded and explored, but still kept like core Avenged Sevenfold, the cool aspect that makes you guys what you are, over all the years, which is great.
We always lean into heavy music because that's just what we love. It's
Yeah.
in our DNA. But I mean, being huge fans of bands like Bungle and
Yeah.
I mean, just anything, really anything. Like I love Western music. Matt loves Daft Punk. Brian loves different pop bands. Like we love everything, and everything's different. And so we just incorporate kind of everything. But our core DNA from when we were 14 years old
Yeah.
is Metallica, Pantera, Bad Religion, Misfits, punk rock stuff, AFI,
Yeah.
like all the stuff we grew up really loving. That's always going to be there. So we always kind of go back to that, and then we push the limits, we expand, we incorporate all sorts of shit. Basically, anything that's going to piss off fans and
Right.
get them get their minds working in no matter what direction it is.
Right. Well, dude, nowadays it's interesting too because the metal scene is like much more like genre fluid, I guess, with everything. Where like everything is in everything. That wasn't a thing 20 years ago where you're like, nowadays it's like you want electronics mixed in with screaming and like deathcore moments and then progressive verses and then singing and then rapping. It's like more normal, which is cool because it seems like it's just like here's metal as a blanket, even though people will still get very defensive over their specific subgenre and like this particular particular niche. But nowadays it seems it's kind of like at least spread open versus like, I mean, dude, 20 years ago, of course, and I love your opinion on this too. It's like that, like metalcore, even as a thing, like that whole era of music, that wasn't even like a genre. It wasn't even an exact idea of what that was. It was just a lot of people playing a lot of cool fucking riffs and being like, this is sick, and seeing how it all comes together, which then, you know, again, like Wake in the Fallen became known as like one of those iconic metalcore albums. But again, that probably wasn't even a term that was existing back then, right? When you guys were even making that.
No, there was hardcore. Being from
Right.
Orange County, you had bands like 18 Visions and Throwdown and Adamantium, and they were inspired by bands like Vision of Disorder and Earth Crisis and Snapcase. And then you had, you know, the Scandinavian metal
Yep.
bands that were doing their thing. And then you had different sects of like punk rock, let's call it. You had AFI,
Yep.
who was huge in Southern California. And then they kind of went towards a more Misfits vibe and they put on this crazy dark show. And then you had bands like Thrice, which were pretty punk rock based, but incorporating, I mean, emo, they were incorporating screaming, heavy
Yeah.
riffs. And then you had a band like Killswitch, which leaned more towards metal,
Yep.
but then had Jesse singing these beautiful melodies on top of it that didn't seem contrived. They actually fit in the song,
Yeah.
which is something that I still am very particular about. Like I'm not a big fan of rah 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 into some fucking whiny vocals. That
Yeah.
it's like it
Yeah.
doesn't. It's not my favorite thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't knock bands, but like Killswitch was just so fluid. Like the
Right.
screams turned into singing, but it was still heavy and
Yeah.
it all worked
Well, it
together.
has to transition well, and that's something I think you guys figured that shit out way back when, which mad congratulations, because many bands did not figure it out, right? And then it has this weird dynamic shift with even modern bands really are screwed up with it sometimes, where it's like, you know, heavy verses and then the big, you know, clean chorus, and it seems so jaded. It doesn't seem like it's actually part of the same song, and you know that's almost more poor songwriting than anything that I see when some bands are doing that. It's like, come on, like you got to connect these pieces in a way. When like bands were doing it, like you got like 20 years ago, and you guys were pulling it off, and it sounds like it makes sense in the same song, and like Killswitch, like you mentioned, right?
Transitions are so important. You know, it's not just cutting a verse, cutting a chorus, cutting and pasting these parts. You know, you literally have to find ways to transition if you want to write a song.
Yeah.
You can cut and paste together songs. You can, you know, insert breakdown here, do all this shit. But we were always trying to write good songs
Yeah.
first and foremost, and we didn't know what we were doing or how to get there, but we knew what we liked, and those transitions felt more natural, honestly, because in the beginning, Matt wanted to scream most of the parts, like in Unholy Confessions.
Right.
The beginning, the all tribe, was, all tribe.
Yeah.
She said as he walked away, like that. That was all screaming, all screaming. And while we were doing pre-production, he sang this melody, and I always loved his voice, and I still do. And he sang it, and I was like, "Why don't you fucking sing it, dude?" And he's like, "No, we're a metal band, we're a hardcore band."
Right.
I was like, "You got the coolest fucking voice, like." And we like, I love his voice. I love punk rock. I like singing,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Dude, let's do both. Let's like sing it." And he's like, "Okay." So we started singing that part, and then he came in with this really great chorus that matches his vocal stylings, but
Yeah.
it doesn't pull too far away from the screaming and stuff. And it was like we found our sound. Like, let's incorporate that more. Like, hey, you can add your heavy voice, dude. Like, go Phil Pantera on some shit.
Yeah.
You know, do whatever. That shit's still heavy. Like James Hetfield's voice is still fucking heavy. Like, we're not taking away any of the dynamic of being a heavy band by you singing. And people's minds were blown at the time. Like, people wanted to fight us in the
Really?
Orange County force. Oh yeah, they were just not prepared. They're like, this band is completely diluting hardcore. You know, it's like they're like, we don't mix punk rock with hardcore. We don't mix, you know, singing with hardcore. What are these guys doing? Like, these guys are, you know, ruining something sacred. And it was just like this whole thing. And then people started talking about us, and then there was this whole group of fans that were like, we just like it. Like, this is cool.
Yeah.
So we started building our own fans, and they just started, it became its own thing. And on Wake in the Fallen, we took My Chemical Romance out on tour because they were doing their own thing. And, we'd play shows with Thrice and play shows with AFI. And then we went on Warp Tour, and we were like the biggest black sheep on Warp Tour ever. Now you go to Warp Tour, and like every band has
Yes.
a similar kind of vibe. They have heavy bands, but there was not any heavy bands. It was like Good Charlotte on a main stage, Avenged Sevenfold on this small shitty stage, and there you couldn't be any further
Mm.
musically. But it's funny because we ended up vibing. They're like, "What you guys do is fucking cool." They kind of took us under their wing. It was just a weird time,
Mm.
And it all started in Matt's parents' garage. I mean, we wrote that shit in Matt's parents' garage and in a van.